1996 Ford Ranger with the 2.3 4-cylinder engine. Today we're going to be doing the power steering pump. Let's get to it. And for our replacement power steering pump, we'll be using the part number 20-7270 power steering pump. Alright, first step for the power steering pump is going to be to remove the drive belt. The drive belt tensioner is located right down there. You can see it right there in the center of the frame. I'm going to do my best to keep that on focus. You're going to need to use a drive belt tensioner tool. Go right down there, and it has a 3/8 head on it. And it'll fit right into the little square shaped box on there. Go ahead and pry gently against your fan shroud to push it in there, and we'll go ahead and remove the intake tubing so we have extra throw. We'll go ahead and crank down on this, and we can go ahead and reach over here, and while holding the tension, we're going to go ahead and remove the belt from this side of the engine. We're going to tuck it back in there. And remove our tool. I didn't need to remove the belt from the whole thing. We're not replacing the belt, we're replacing the power steering pump, which is located right here. So I just want the belt away from it so it's not in the way. Alright, and probably the most annoying part of this is getting yourself a power steering pulley puller. What you're going to need is you're going to need your setup like this. Now normally there's supposed to be a pin on here that sticks out a little bit, but that's missing from our kit. You're going to need your locking sleeve and your 2 locking pins. And when you put these together, make sure that you have the closed sides. You can see how these sides are obviously different. Make sure that they are lined up properly. You're going to want to insert this like this. And then come down here and install it just like that onto the pulley. And then slide the locking sleeve over it. So you're basically going to have something like this when you're done. Go ahead and press that bolt in, and you're going to need a 5/8. Put that on the end right here. It'll let me. And to hold on to this nut, you can get a close-in wrench, or just get yourself an adjustable wrench like this one. With the pulley finally removed, we're going to go ahead and remove this hard line from the side of the power steering pump. And I'm just using an adjustable wrench for this. Because normally you only have to turn these a couple of turns. I'm probably actually going to be replacing this hose. As you can see right here, there's a lot of play in there. I think it's just worn out on the inside, and even when this nut was down tight, I had a lot of play there. So I'm probably gonna end up replacing this hose, because that, and the fact that, as you can see, that this whole piece is actually separating, those are probably our 2 main leaks, which is why we're replacing this. quit leaking. There we go. Go ahead and start removing the bolts for the power steering pump. There are 3 17mm bolts. And there's our 3rd bolt. And pull this up so we can reach back here, grab hold of the hose that's holding it from underneath, which they give you like no slack for at all. There we go. And right here is where the hose goes onto the back of the power steering pump. It's just a regular rubber hose with a little tiny hose clamp on it. You can wiggle it off by hand or put yourself a wrench back there to help you get it off. Next, we'll come in here and get some of this power steering fluid off with some brake clean. Go ahead and remove the high pressure hose that connects to the side of the power steering pump before I install the new one. And this hose goes all the way down and then bolts right here on top of the steering gear. There's 2 of them. You can see this one right here. I'm trying to get my damn hand out of the way and give you a better angle. There's this one right here. It's this one right there. See if I can't get a wrench for that. It's a 16mm to break this loose. Let go. Hose is removed. Be careful when pulling it up here because our connector is still on here for our power steering pump sensor. And normally there would be a switch on that, like there is on this side. You're supposed to just put a little flathead screwdriver in here and bend these back, but it looks like this side is broken off and missing, so that's just going to come off nice and easy for us. And here is our hose. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall that sensor. Remove that old sensor. It's a 15mm. And clean this sensor up a wee little bit. And after that brake clean is dried up, come back in here with some electronics cleaner. Just give that a quick spray out. And we're going to do the same to the connector. As soon as I figure out where it went off to. There it is. Especially that connector. That connector's looking yuck. Go ahead and reinstall this into our new line. These don't need to be crazy. You just want them down tight enough to close that O-ring so you don't have a leak. And then we're going to snake this back in here because they do not give you any room at all. Right. Probably the most difficult part about this reinstall is getting that lower hose to line up. But once you get it started, it goes fairly simply. And of course, it's a different size. So it might be like a 13 or a 12, something small. I hope it's a 13. I don't know where my 12 is. It's a 13. Hurry. Like that. Go ahead and plug our connector back in. And we can start installing the power steering pump. Starting with that return hose on the rear. If you have covers covering up your return hose and your power side or the pressure side line, make sure you remove those before you put them in there. I forgot to remove this one. I removed the return line in the back, but I forgot to remove that cover. So I'm going to do that before I bolt it in. That should be able to get this with a flathead. Yeah, nice. Right. And probably not the biggest deal, but I always recommend to actually save these. Just get yourself like a little cardboard box somewhere and just save those. You never know when something like that's going to come in handy, especially the ones for like your radiators. So if you have to like pull a radiator or pull a radiator hose, like a lower radiator hose, you can pull that hose real quick and put one of those stoppers in there. And you know, just small things like that, they're always useful to have on hand. Just help you save some coolant, save you or save your customer some money. Just one of those recommendations. I'll go ahead and line this up. Ow! You gotta hurt me. Of course, when they remanufacture these things, they paint them black, and I think they just dip them or something, but they need to cover these thread holes because these things get tight. Trying to line these things back up. All right, looking good. Go ahead and where is it? There it is. Hide. Put our high side line back in. Dang, that's tight. That doesn't want to spin at all. I think it did. Looking pretty good. And make sure that's down good and tight. We don't want no leaks. Looking good. I like it. I like it a lot. Make sure that when you put your pulley on that the lock side is out. That's this ring right here that the pulley removal tool locks onto to pull it off. And then you're gonna need, out of your kit, this little bearing. It's gonna go right there. And then you've got this piece that'll click something like that. And screwed into the shaft of your new power steering pump, we have this screw bit that we're going to screw in there. Line our pulley up. And always a good idea, give yourself some PV Blaster or some WD-40 and just put some on that new shaft. It can help a lot with the installation process because you definitely don't want to damage anything ever for any reason. So you want to have this backed off enough so you can make sure that this is screwed in as much as possible, because you're not going to be rotating it from here. You're going to be rotating it on this nut, and this nut is going to be applying the force and moving this pulley back in. So you want to make sure you have enough in there and that this is screwed all the way down so that this pulley can actually travel far enough to slide this whole thing on here. I think that's what we're going to be working with right there. We're almost there. The pulley's almost lined up with our other pulley on the AC compressor right here. Lined up perfectly. Go ahead and take that tool off. Put some fluid in there, and oh Lord, this thing is in there. This thing is really in there. Oh my God, let go. Oh Jesus. Just shove it in there and dump this thing in paint. Go ahead and put some fluid in there. Spin this pump around. Let it get worked in. Go ahead and add our fluid. See that spinning back? That's building pressure. That's what I want. I want to build that pressure. I want to force all that air out. You come over here. Put it down in there. You can see that air coming up. As I build the pressure, you'll see more air starting to bubble. And that's exactly what I want to see. I want that air coming up. I want the fluid going down. I'm going to add more fluid. And just keep doing that a couple times until you stop seeing the air bubbles at least. Then top off your fluid. And that's pretty much all there is to changing out your power steering pump on a early 90s Ranger. I knew you could do it. I didn't doubt it for a second. And other than that, put your drive belt back on. When you start the vehicle up for the first time, turn your steering wheel all the way one direction and then turn it all the way back the other direction. Do that like 5 or 10 times to move the power steering rack in and out, and that's going to help get more air out of the system. And then check your power steering fluid level again after you do that to make sure you still have enough. Other than that, this video helped you out. Leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see y'all next time.